Okay. Alright, I need to like see if this actually works. Hold on. Okay, yep. And now I'll just do this. There we go. I think that works. And I'll do it. Why not? I'll do it here. Content. Content, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Alright. So, hi Gamer Jams. Welcome to the stream. As you can tell, hey Cool Rock, we're gonna be going over. I'll change the music. I don't think this is fine, but I'm gonna be ranking or giving my personal rankings of what the meta is right now before we head into part 2. It's kind of useless in a sense where like there's like no point in making this right now because it's just going to change like tomorrow, but I just want to have some kind of base to base off my rankings for when I actually do make a part 2 tier list. So that's going to be fun. Anyways, I think I don't even know what to put on. I did not come prepared for music here. Hey Nero and Mohammed, welcome to the stream. Yeah. While I find music, I guess I'll just put on on the Ubers. I'll just put on these. I don't think I want to make a separate tier for Sorel, and there's probably some of you, or there's gonna be some people arriving that's gonna argue for one of the cases for these, for an Uber or an Uber not being an Uber, but I'm just not gonna argue because I don't think it's a good waste of it's a waste of my time basically. All right. Hey, small genius. Yeah, I think you heard that, but I don't need to explain it again. Dragonin? Alright. Alright, man. Okay. I think before I actually get into the rankings, I think it's best to fill the unviable tier up, because there's a lot of unviable things in this metagame. And I don't think I'll be doing a Yu one, mainly because one Yu is pretty dead right now. And second of all, I don't know much about Yu. I used to, but I haven't been keeping up. It probably has stayed the same like a few months ago, but you never know. Okay. First, let's put no starter. All starters are like B and above. B plus and above, so or no, B and above. Florent, actually, Terrafly is in the unviable tier. And I'll put actually no, Avatros not yet. Avatros still has some niches. Hey Convex and Milksy and Anonymous. Oh, Anonymous, are you cool, Rad? Oh boy, this is gonna be fun. Hey, who knows? Oh right, thanks for reminding me, Milksy. Hey, Hanma, Blackie. Yeah, I think there's like a few more unviable stuff. Alright, alright. Yeah. Wiki, unviable. Got there's like some niches, but well, it has a niche. I think not really. It doesn't really have a niche here. Festifer, nah. It's just I'll put the stuff that has kind of oh no. I'll save that for later. I'll just go through everything. Mutoon, I think it's nah. Mutoon's pretty mid right now. Trumbull, also. Actually, I think nah, not Trumbull. Is that it? Montreal's also here. No, all the fossils have a niche. Blowtox is like one of those lumians that is pretty okay, but there's like Bar Blast, which does everything it does but better. So I kind of want to put in unviable. Um, I don't know. This is like mainly my own impressions, convex, because I don't want like anything to influence what my tier list rankings would be for part two, or this will be used as a base for part two anyway. Zervalin, Wendelin are down here. Zeppelin is like on the verge of being unviable. Winch, no, not Wintrix. Sukame, I kind of want to put down here. Banfino, or I'm gonna put it here, and I'll talk about that in a bit. Lumelo, no. Taoshinu, it's also in that kind of case, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. Oh no, Akalis is fine. Okay, I think that's all. That's it for. Yeah, Waka. Okay, so I think everyone's been talking about Waka Waka here and Bane of Haste. So let's get this over with. Waka Waka as a whole, like on its own, it's very, very bad. Like it has some defensive niches. It being immune to light, it what? You're resistant to water. That's it. Like for like best defense. Oh yeah, too. Gargoyle base. Gargoyle base is also pretty unviable. And the main thing with Waka Waka is it can't accomplish anything if you're not in Bane of Haste. And you're gonna have to run so much support for Waka Waka. You're gonna have to run so much pivots on your team so it can actually get into the battle safely. There's just a lot of team support that comes with Waka Waka, and when you can just run like a fast mind or like a good offensive mind types, like where is Shachi? Shachi, this is fast. It hits already hard, just as hard or harder than Waka Waka. You also have Ferroglyph. Where is it? I might have missed it in putting it up here. No, Ferroglyph. It's also fast. It also has setup. It also has stall breaker attributes. Waka Waka, it hits hard, but that's about it. But it doesn't hit the hard, is what I'm saying. So even at its best niche, it's not already being that great. So here we go. Well, the thing is with unviable is that unviable and outclass go hand in hand basically. If you're outclassed by something and you have no niches, then you're unviable, because why would you use Gargolem base when you can use Garg-A or Garg-D? Wendelin, I don't know. Well, Wendelin is kind of on the verge of B plus or B minus and unviable for me, mainly because you have great spirit types offensive wise. Like Wendelin's only niche, like Waka Waka, is hitting hard. But spirit types like Vesperatu, Your Soul, and where are the other spirit types here? Duskit, and I guess I'll put Revenine on here if I can find it. Like all of these spirit types, they hit hard as well. They have utility coverage with Vesperatu, Your Soul. They'll slap down. Duskit has Raging Flame. And Revenine is like one of the best revenge killers right now. And with Wendelin, it doesn't really do much. Your only argument is it has Dazzling Barrage to deal with Obsidian, but it doesn't even do that much to Obsidian because I'm pretty sure Dazzling Barrage procs Resilience. And because of Resilience, Wendelin isn't breaking through Obsidian too much. So, Boonery? I don't know. I'm personally not a big fan of Boonery, so I guess I'll stay. Oh, let's just put Boonery here. I don't really like Boonery in a sense where it's just a revenge killer, and when the meta playstyles are balanced and semi-stall, what you're most likely coming in on is going to be some of an offensive threat, and that's rarely because Usually teams can play around this thing very well, and they will make sure Boonery like doesn't do its job very well. That's just me. Cinemoth, yeah, let's just put it down here. Where is it? Yeah, let's just put it down here. Your Soul, I think it's pretty good. It's not as good as it used to be in Ubers, of course, because Chase Down nerf is really big. You also have more Spirit type competition with Vesperatu, and Vesperatu, of course, being, well, it's not as common as Your Soul, or it's not as common as it was before, but Your Soul, it does get broken easily with Obsidian and Bar Blast. You also have, well, it's mainly these two. But what's the main thing about Your Soul is that it still applies offensive pressure. It beats Hyper Offense, and it's just a really good, solid anti-Hyper Offense mon, and it's just pretty good offensively. Vesperatu, in my opinion, Your Soul, well, things have naturally risen to check it. It's not going to be getting in the match a lot unless you're swapping in on some immunity and you put and like it, or it gets pivoted in, so it's not really the greatest at that. Vesperatu is Your Soul with Vesperatu is basically Your Soul with it doesn't have the damage X factor, but it provides utility. But actually it's kind of the same as Your Soul. Actually, it just has a better defensive typing. Duskit and Brevinine, they're both going in B. They have some niches. No. I just put these guys here because I just want to rank them first. If you're really that worried about it, I'll put them here. But Duskit's B. It has some niches with Raging Flame. It can run mixed sets, but it's honestly not that worth it. There's just not really a lot of I can say with Duskit. It can function pretty well as a sweeper, but the thing is there are better sweepers in the game right now. And like I said, mine types, there are better mine types right now. Oh, and I haven't even mentioned Metatoad as a mine type. Let's just put that there, and I'll talk about Metatoad later. Revenine, also same boat. Well, not same boat, but it is in a similar position with Duskit, where it has some niches, but in a sense, with Revenine, it only has one trick, and that is to revenge kill. And outside of that, it doesn't hit hard anywhere else. And you have natural fast Lumians. Let's just name a few. You have Garlash, Tatab, who hit, and I guess you can put offensive Namares in that conversation as well. And you had Zulong in here as well, which all of them hit pretty hard without needing vengeance or some kind of natural boost or some kind of ability-based boost to make like it to be a revenge killer. Melee Neki and Ubers for real. Duskit, yeah, its stats are also mid too. I don't know. I think Ferroglyph is perfectly fine. The thing with Ferroglyph is that I can, like, people never use it, so I can only rely on speculation. And speculation, at least it's A-, but until I've seen like a lot of Ferroglyph support, I'm gonna be putting it in A- for now. Let's talk about, oh yeah, you guys want Charonix? Sorry, the audio cut out for some reason. Unviable tier? No. I mean, these Lumens just don't have a niche in the OU metagame, and having C+, C-D, all those, it kind of seems unnecessary because you're getting into territory where these things aren't used at all, and they're not good at all, so why rank them over each other? Okay, but like there's a bunch of roamers that are being used. You have the Garg Golem forms. You have Ikazune. You have Namare too as well. You have the you have Spec Meteor and stuff, so Charonix, yeah, Ferroglyph has one good wall. That is fair. All right, if it makes you guys happy, I'll put it in A. But A minus is where I'm gonna be putting it at the very least. Well, the thing with Metatoad is that it basically has everything except a speed tier. But even then, Metatoad can outspeed some. Well, not I can't say that. It doesn't actually outspeed a bunch of walls, but it has great enough. It has a lot of great defensive utility, and that alone kind of helps out its speed tier. And like, unless you're running, let's say, unless you're running Tyrex, like I forget other Metatoad's answer. I guess you can count Pyrolin, but it doesn't want to take any of its spec moves. So like, it's really good defensive wise. It has good defensive attributes, and that alone just makes it able to get into the battle a lot faster. Yes, it's prone to revenge killing, but that's when we have this. No, I'm not gonna mention it yet. But Metatoad on its own is really great here. Yes, but Metatoad, you have a lot of common swap-ins that you can come in on the metagame with. You have Stratosaur as one. You have Stratosaur and Namare as examples. You also have Ikazune as well that Metatoad can swap in on. Valkyrie, and Valkyrie's being used a lot, so it can also swap in on Tatab. Eleguan is also being used, so you can also swap in on that. And most Gargdi, I guess Gargdi doesn't really count because it kind of walls it, but not really to an extent because Metatoad kind of stays in and Gargdi just spams DF or Empathize. True. Bane of Haste setting is going to be making a lot of things really good here. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point, Small Genius. It's kind of in a sense with Shachi. And you know what? I'll put it in A. It's like Shachi except it trades speed tier for bulk. And it's super prone of revenge killing. Let's mention Spec Meteor 2. Alright, it's definitely not A. I kind of eluded it in my Charonix analysis, but Spec Meteor isn't Ubers because you're sacrificing a lumian. Sacrificing a lumian period is already pretty bad in order to make your core work. And what it's kind of equivalent to is Spec Meteor is kind of an equivalent to a second Metatoad on your team. The only difference is it can only function once the other Metatoad dies. But outside of let's just say outside of specialization, it also does have some pretty good niches. It can swap in on a lot, or not a lot of things, but it can swap in on a lot of things that is pretty common, and it can break them. For example, we got toxic types like Barblast and Vanillin. It can also swap in on Obsidian. And it can't swap in on Luminami. Well, that's pretty much it in terms of OU answers. Of course, Surrogate is also pretty good outside of spec. You can get Wise from Wintrix. You can get Total Eclipse from Eclipse. It just becomes a juggernaut whether it's not spec or not. It's just really good all around. The main problem is that there are better mind types, like I said, like these two. So it's not going to be filling up a mind. It's most likely not going to be filling up a mind type slot unless you have a dedicated spec Muir team. It also doesn't have a lot of turn 1 damage, mainly because it has no access to totem personalities. There's also a big problem, and it's not as bulky as Cosmere, correct? I guess right now I'll put it in the same tier, Spec Mior. 2 move Spec. Okay. Alright. Alright, see a small genius. What? You're swapping it on metal? Whoa. Alright. Oh, no. You're talking about Montreal. Yeah. Montreal is pretty great if you get the specific right matchup. Right now that Small Genius mentioned the Zulong. Okay. I hate putting this. I hate putting this Lumian this high, but it's really great. You have very few answers for this. You have where can be? What are even the best ones? You have where is Pyrolin? Here we go. I'm dumb. We have Pyrolin as a great answer to Zulong. We have Gargdi, where can we say? Where is it? I'm blind again. You have Gargdi, you have Venolin, and that's pretty much not Tyrex, not anymore, and Ileguana. These 4 are your only defensive swap-ins, consistent defensive swap-ins for Zulong. And if you run Ancient Roar, unless you're a maniac who runs Staunch on a team, Zulong's always going to be pivoting out, which means it's more free momentum for your offensive Lumians like Shachi and Tatap to get in, and Samurine, which Samurine and Zulong is a pretty great core. And these guys are just stuck here to be forced to take the pivot, and they can't do much about it. So, and Zulong, of course, kills a playstyle hyper offense, so it's great. And it's pretty good in the late game. Not much can revenge kill this besides Boots, and that's really dangerous because you're kind of forced to run a Boots Lumian if you don't want to get like swept by Zulong in the late game. So that is really strong. Zulong overall is just really great here in this metagame specifically. Not to mention it hits a lot of stuff super effectively. Like I can just run down the list. Seer Knight, Luminami, Valkyrie, Himber, Tatap, Barblast, Obsidian. I won't count Florian because it's not OU. Your Snack, Stratosaur, Tyrex. Can I even count? I won't count Joltooth. You have Deldrix and Garlash. There's just so much things that can hit super effective. So you're forced to run one of these 4 Lumians. So like, yeah. Oh, hey, Sura. Welcome to the stream. Boots Gargay. Yeah, just use Clutch Plushie. Oh, Chili Chomp? I've seen Chili Chomp. Chili Chomp is like for the Gargdi matchup, and that's it. I got wrecked by a Chili Chomp Zulong before when I had Gargdi as my defensive range attacking backbone. So, yeah, it's not great. Let's mention... Alright, I guess I'll talk about the 4 ranged balls specifically. Venolin, it's great. Great defensive-wise. It's a pretty good all-around check. It spreads poison really well. It has speed control with Mud Spatter and Barter Shackles. Thing is, you have a lot of great mind types in this metagame. A lot of things can abuse you. Like, let's say the earth types like Borok and Gargdi and Charonix is not an earth type, but it still abuses Venolin. It also does provide somewhat to a check to stuff like Tatab, which is also pretty nice. Oh, and Nemara is also one of those Lumians that can take advantage of Venolin. So it's pretty passive in that regard, and I guess Strat too. It's pretty passive in that regard, but it does have enough utility to make it worth using on teams. Oh, hey Panzer. Welcome to the stream. You're not that late. I think. Yeah, you're not that late. It's been like 20. Oh my gosh, I need to speed this up. I only got a few things here. I'm gonna be like I Eat Your Face with the 5-hour tier list streams. Yeah, it is in somewhat of a case. It's above, it's like more reliable, but on most, well, the thing with Vanillin is that it kind of just exists there. It doesn't have a lot of great defensive cores, but with Pyrolin, of course, you have the infamous Pyro Obsi, which is a pretty good defensive core. Pyrolin, also, it being a fire type, melts icicle traps. Unlike Vanillin, it also does have the ability to get rid of barbs and poison barbs as well. It has two really good defensive abilities in Fanning Flame and Quick Recovery. It's fine. It's fine, Panzer. And it just has a lot of great niches. And unlike Vanillin, it cannot be taken advantage by your Namare. Never mind. Not Namare. Namare is a bad example. It can't be taken advantage of by anything remotely with setup. And Pyrolin is much more consistent when you have Lumians such as Shachi, Metatoad, and Chironix on a lot of teams. And while it isn't the most perfect answer for them, it avoids you from running niche options like Tyrex for these two to actually make your team work. So, in my opinion, Pyrolin's pretty great here. Ileguana, kind of on the same boat as Vanillin, although I'm starting to feel like Ileguana does the speed control job better. The only issue with Ileguana is that it doesn't have a lot of energy to work with, so that's a big issue. Its defensive typing isn't the most favorable, but it does have some niches in like beating Zulong, which is also pretty nice. Whoa, we're talking about Celesting now. Alright. Nah, man. Ileguana is... well, Ileguana has like... It does have some niches, and that's like absorbing pivot moves, which in my opinion is a much more better job, because I would much rather have that on a team than Elephage. Well, that's a pretty great niche. Okay. Well, then where, if it's not B plus, then where should I put Elephage then? B plus and then move Ileguana down? Okay, alright. Alright, let's rank guard. Oh no. What did we say? Celesting. Yeah, to add on your point, that's actually pretty smart. Celesting is more utility based, if anything. It set up hazards. It has reverberate and whatever that sleep negation thing it has. I forgot the ability. I forgot what the ability, but I forgot exactly. Whatever. I'm not gonna get too caught up on the details. It has pivot, so it pivots out pretty well. Not a lot of plant types would like to swap in on Celesting, like unless you're a defensive plant type like Chartiki and Maomurk, I guess you can put it in that sense. Celesting Metal Blast is going to be chunking them, and it's not the most hard-hitting Metal Blast from like stuff like Valkyrie and Stratosaur. It's still pretty good in that regard. It's not the most passive thing, but because of how low its range attack stat is, it's not going to be applying a lot of offensive pressure, and I think that's what brings it down for me. B- is the lowest I can go, but it has niches. So I'm going to be putting it there. Waka Laka. Oh yeah, true. I forgot to put that there. I was gonna make an argument for it eventually, but I don't feel like doing that because my types. I'm gonna find it later. Actually, I'll just find it now. It's over here. Gargdi, and I'll talk about Malmerk. Gargdi is, well, the thing with Gargdi is that it has, well, for the most obvious thing, that it lacks consistent recovery. And that's a really big problem in this metagame specifically, because you need you need stuff like Rejuvenate to keep answers such as Metatoad and Zulong at bay. And to add on, it does have great utility with Barbs and Gust. If you want to run, you can run Mudslide here for like the niche answers or matchups you're up against a Zulong. And I guess Metatoad and other electric types. You also have Slapdown as well, so your utility is amazing, and you're also immune to Earth. The tier list, it's the I Eat Your Face one. You can find it in meta-analysis. I can just DM you it later. Oh hey Isaac, welcome to the stream. It's been a while. Actually, no, it hasn't. It's been like a month, but yeah. So Gargdi is really great, but the thing is, it is way too passive for its own good. Driving Force isn't solving it, because any Spirit type, and like Vesperatu, Ursul, Charonix, they all abuse this so well. And the thing is, Charonix is one of the most common Lumians in the game. So Gargdi, it's not gonna be having a fun time because Charonix is most likely on the other team. Metatoad, it can stop Metatoad to an extent, but without Rejuvenate or Perch or whatever, Gargdi isn't gonna be able to heal off constant spec moves over and over. So it's not gonna be doing that great in that regard. So Gargdi, it's pretty solid, but its lack of offensive presence, it's what brings it down. But if you're looking for something consistent on most of your teams, then Gargdi is just the Lumian to go to, other than Pyrelin, of course. Alright, let's talk about the starters, because this is actually one of the stuff oh no, Malmerk, right. Alright, Malmerk has B+. I'm not gonna be putting it in B+. I'm just gonna hold on to it for now. Malmerk has some good niches in this metagame. It stops Valkyrie, which is pretty great if you're running spec mirror teams. It also, to an extent, I guess it can be like a pretty good sap plant spreader, because other than Tatab and Chartiki's not even that common anymore, you're gonna be getting sap plant a lot off, so that's also pretty good. And it also does pretty well in blocking pivots, because stuff like Nimare and Luminami, this is gonna be one of the best swap-ins for those two. And overall, just light type pivots as a whole. This is gonna be really great if you want to stop those pivots. It's also pretty good on balanced teams because it has Saplant, it has Wave Wrecker and Mega Chomp. So it does have that X factor to it where it can hit hard, it can set up with bulk up, and it does have great defensive matchups against specific pivoters. So it looks pretty great, honestly, but that's only looking at its positives. But when you're looking at what the meta is right now, you have a lot of dark type moves spreading around, and you have the obvious here. You have Gargdi with Slapdown, so it's not always a free swap in on Gargdi. Zulong, while you do wall Zulong to an extent, it's still something you should be afraid of. Charonix can still take advantage of you somewhat. And of course, I think you are weak to electric, and there's a bunch of electric types in this metagame specifically. That's not really great for Malmerk as a whole, so I kind of want to move it down. But I think B+ might be similar. It might be. It might be B. It might be B, honestly. But the question is, do I prefer it over something like a leguana? Okay, why am I not responding? I'm supposed to be saying stuff. Nah, I'm just gonna keep it in B plus. I think it's alright. Alright, what do you want me to talk about next? Oh wait, you said something, Sura. Antlanthian Part 2 is coming tomorrow, trust. Yeah, um, yeah, yeah, like barter boots as a whole is just pretty nice to have on any team. Oh, no way, wait, did you mean boots? No, you said barter boots. Yeah, true. That's actually somewhat of a good point. I might try and test that out later. That's actually funny. Alright, let's move on to the starters. Luminami? Do we even need to say anything about Luminami? Like, come on. I don't think there's much argument in the S tier, so I'm just gonna put it there. Tatab. I feel like Tatab is another S tier mon, but it still has some concrete ways of stopping it. It's not offensive levels pressure like Keronix is. It still has Obsidian and Bar Blast and a robust Snack and Icicle. It still have these answers. But it can cripple them, and that's the main argument for it being a pretty good Lumian. And of course, it hits really hard turn 1. You don't need bulk up. So it's going to be hitting so hard against a lot of teams. And Tateb has a lot of really common teammates. You have Garlash, Meditoad, Shachi, Valkyrie, Ikazune. It can work on a lot of offensive teams, and that's the great thing about Tatab. Or at least from what I've seen. So Tatab's A+. I don't think there's much doubt about that. Alright, next up, Seer Knight. Seer Knight is in... Yeah, I don't think Seer Knight is that great, honestly. Seer Knight has some niches like Barb setup and Slap Down, but when you compare to the other actually, I kind of want to put it in B minus here, but it does have its offensive pressure, so that's what it's keeping it afloat above these guys. So I'm just gonna be putting it there. There's not much argument here. Himber, it's very solid. It has great defensive niches. Yeah, Tatab is pretty prediction reliant. Sir, do you mean Seer Knight? But, yeah. Alright, oh, we're talking about Himber now. Okay, my bad. So, Himber, Mudslide, Icicle Traps. Despite what people say, Quick Punch is not worth it. You have... Alright, hello, A4KZ, thanks. It might get worse, but who knows. Quick Punch is not that great. You are a Lumian with 100 base melee attack, and keep in mind, that's as hard as an Avatros. Avatros. Oh yeah, Tatab. Yeah, definitely. And let's see, is there any other comparisons I can make? No, I think Avatros is like the best example of how hard it can hit. But it's hitting as hard as Avatros. Quick Punch, but you're gonna be sacrificing Icicle Traps or Trap Removal. And when you and Trap Removal is really important on teams. So even if Quick Punch, there's some niches to it. Like, or I'll show you guys a quick calc that I recently found out. If I do this, will it reveal my time? No, it won't. You know, sir, I used to be of the opinion that Himber was trash, but actually, I'll just open up like a separate tab or a separate window for my damage calculator. So let's just see this one. I'm gonna show you something very funny. So let's see. Himber, let's name a common offensive let's name a common offensive lumian that is weak to quick punch. I need to look at a list because I need to look at a tier list. Let's see. We have what? Let's use Deladrix. Let's use Deladrix as an example. Let's see, we have quick punch here. And we have Deladrix. Now, popping a clutch plushie is pretty good. But this damage against this frail of a lumian, usually anything with priority, you'd be like guaranteeing you through 2-hit KO. You'd be getting Deladrix down at 25%. With Himber though, quick punch, you're not doing a lot here. Let's take a look at another lumian. What can I even talk about that's fast and weak to quick punch? I guess I can put Valkyrie. But I won't do that. Because Valkyrie actually takes quick punch. Let's see. Valkyrie. Tender Valkyrie. This is a 3-hit KO. Quick punch is not that great. You're not going to be dealing a lot of damage. And I think my favorite comparison, Protagon. Yeah, you're not doing a lot with quick punch, sadly. I mean, Himbers can run quick punch, but you're gonna, I guess, but like usually they run Ice Essence for consistency, or they run Health Amulet or Milkshake because they have that defensive utility. Alright, let's leave Himber there for now. Valkyrie, I'm gonna put A- just because I don't want like all of the Falc haters coming in my DMs. I think it should be. All the Valkyrie haters would put this so low. Yeah, but at that point, I guess Chip is fine. But I showed you guys super effective calcs. And when it does a 3-hit KO to super effective Lumians that are pretty frail, that is pretty bad. Alright, Valkyrie. Valkyrie overall, because the main playstyles right now are balance and semi-stall, Valkyrie's speed tier is actually not much of a problem anymore. The only problem is it gets revenge killed pretty easily. So it's pretty much, once it breaks the wall, it's pretty much done. It pretty much needs to die next turn. Or the best thing about Valkyrie right now is that it stops Spec Meteor and Charonix. And when you have an offensive metal type that stops both of these consistently, that's really great, because not only do you stop an offensive threat on the team, but you apply pressure on that team. And that's really good for Valkyrie's case. And you have Radiant Forecast sets, they're still pretty good because you have Lumians like Garlash and Totab that can take advantage of Radiant Forecast. You also have, like, yeah, it's just really good right now. And the main issue is bringing it back is it gets revenge killed pretty easily. Offensive stuff breaks this pretty easily. But once semi-stall, but once we get into a more bulkier metagame where semi-stall and stall is the most prevalent playstyles, Valkyrie is going to be rising up. But right now it's A- at, like, I think in the middle ground. And Valkyrie is unwallable. Yeah, it is unwallable. Alright, I hate Valkyrie being A+ because it's a must Lumian, but a must Lumian isn't that great. And like Stratosaur is a big example of this, where it's really great in what it does. It's a pretty good range sponge like Gargdi and Paralin, but it gets taken advantage pretty easily. We have a bunch of stuff that can take advantage of it. Valkyrie can take advantage of it. Zulong, Metatoad, And where else? We got Halvantic as well. If I can just find it, that would be pretty nice. We have Halvantic that can take care of Stratosaur. And when you have a lot of Lumians that can take advantage of Stratosaur like this, it's not that great. It's not that great. It has utility, yes, with Tase and Magnifying Gust, but other than that, it doesn't have a lot of utility it doesn't have a lot of X factors that can stop these. Because like with Pyrolin, Gargdi, they have Gargdi as driving force, Pyrolin has Peace of Mind. Stratosaur has Magnify, but even with its most hardcore answers, it's not going to be dealing a lot to them. Well, Zulong can come in on Gust, it can come in on a Magnify, it could come in on a... I think, let me calc the Metal Blast hit. I'll calc the, what, 4 attacks? 4 attacks is my set. Strat. Yeah. It's not even that. It's not even a 3-hit KO. And that's saying something. When you have a neutral move against, what, a 74, 78 Lumian, that's not that great. Opinions on Falclash Semi? I think Falclash does best in... I think Falclash does best in balance. Because the thing with Falclash is you can combine offensive core, other offensive stuff with it. Like, I've experimenting with Garlash mainly, and I've recently found that Ecolash or Ikazune and Garlash is a much better combo offensively than Falclash. You also have Valkyrie Totsab. There's a bunch of stuff that you can pair up with Falclash, but Falclash semi it does work wonders, probably. Garlash is also another one of those Lumians that it does have X factors like Tatab, but a difference is between these two Lumians is that one, its coverage is a bit worse, and two, it doesn't hit nearly as hard as Tatab, and that just sucks for it because... And it only has one way of crippling, and that's boots. And other than that, you can't force stuff to heal or sleep with Tatsab and poison. There's just not a lot of great things with Garlash. And Garlash is pretty meta reliant. It's good now, but it's probably going to fall once Valkyrie gets out of the meta. So, like, yeah, it's not that great. Oh, sorry, Mahaiman. I didn't see your comment, but yeah, we can rank Phagenaut. I'm not a big fan of this, honestly. Phagenaut works on a hardcore semi-stall teams, and that's where it shines the most. And honestly, that's probably... And like, you can't use Phagenaut on balanced teams because the difference with Phagenaut and Elephage is that one, it hits harder, yes, but you can't use this as a balance wall because this doesn't nearly have enough solid enough defenses to actually take hits from both sides. When you have balanced staples like Pyrolin and Gargdi, they do much better of a job than walling from both sides. And when you have Phagenaut here that, depending on the set, robust or clever, you can't be able to take hits from both sides. So team building limits it heavily. And that's mainly sucks for it. And that's my opinion on it. It's like it's slightly better than Elephage in my opinion. But yeah. Unless Zulong slow pivot Zulong isn't gonna be again yeah, it's not gonna be against it that much. Thunderstrike is a 2-hit KO, so it's a pretty nice thing to know. Banfino, hey Ja, is this the real Ja? The real Ja? Because Phagenaut? No. Overcharge is more of a meme, if anything. The fossils? Okay. Let's Skellic, B minus, Joltooth. Alright, before I rank Joltooth, before I rank Joltooth. Okay, nice job. Before I rank Joltooth, I must rank where is it? I must rank the furry bait here. And do I not have Halvantic? No way. Where is Halvantic? No way. Where is it? Hold on, guys. I'm pretty dumb. Where is Halvantic? Is it here? Oh my gosh. I put it up. Where is it? Oh my gosh. Halvantic. I lost it. Go up. Oh my god, I'm dumb. Okay. Jeez, I am like A, yeah, A minus. Right? Joltooth. It's gonna be one tier. It's gonna be one tier or two tiers. Nah, it's so much better than these guys. I'm gonna be putting it here. Double ambush is kind of a core. It's a core that exists. It's not that great, but it's somewhat alright. It does more one-turn damage, but Joltooth here doesn't do as much. It doesn't have the bulk up. It doesn't have the bulk up X factor that Halvantic does. Sure, both have bulk up. Halvantic has better bulk, and admittedly, it has a better defensive typing for stuff like Bar Blast, Obsy, Harvesect. It has, and of course, it's faster, and it fits on a lot of more teams better. Joltooth is forced to be ran slow, or if you're like a baffled Joltooth, it's gonna be ran speedy. So it's locked in one set. There's just not a lot of great things, and Halvantic has better coverage. The Rogo, oh gosh, or the thing about the Rogo is it hits hard at +4 Draco. No, it hits hard after a Draco beam. Other than that, the Rogo hits like a wet noodle, and it cannot really. And like, if you're not constantly clicking Draco beam every turn, this is not going to be doing a lot of turn 2 damage. You also have a bunch of common stuff like Teclipse, Pyrolin, Garg D to an extent. Venilin also does somewhat well in stopping it because it can just barter shackle it and then it's just locked in. You have Valkyrie that can check it. You have Namari that can check it. There's a lot of things. Okay, see ya, Sura. There's just not a lot of things. Like, the Rogo, once it gets a boost off, it's great. But any turn of the match, it's not going to be doing that much damage. Because it's still like 80 range, it's still like 90 range attack. That's 10 higher than Gobidemic, and Gobidemic doesn't hit hard at all. So the Rogo is going to be there. Infernix, it has one niche, and that's double napper. Double napper stall, and other than that, it doesn't have a lot of great niches. Because if you want a power napper user, you have Luminami. It's infinitely better than Infernix. If you want a solid defensive fire type, you have Pyrolin. If you want an offensive fire type, you have Ikazune. So, oh, and let's just quickly rank Ikazune. Ikazune, whether or not you're running Boots or Magnify, Ikazune is really great on offensive balance teams because of its great speed tier and of its pivoting capabilities and how hard it can hit. And of course, its coverage is pretty nice. It does really well against a lot of teams because, like, Return to Sender, I guess, but I don't know. Return to Sender, well, you're gonna be a range tank though. That's the thing. It'll only help you like in certain matchups for Infernix. Yeah, there's just a lot to like about Ikazune. It also has the revenge killing factor if you're running Boots Pivot. It also has that. There's just a bunch of competition though. I don't want to be putting it up in A+, where Zulong kind of does its job but better. So that's where I'm ranking it. And sure, why not? I'll give my opinions on Wintrix. Wintrix, I don't think it's S or A plus anymore. I think it's a pretty solid A tier mon. And yeah, that's pretty much where I would rank Wintrix, because Wintrix still has that setup capabilities. It still has that X factor. Wise is still a pretty good ability. You can pair it up with like non-spec Muirs, which is always nice. Wintrix also does have a lot of good offensive cores with it. So you have what? Ecotrix is pretty common. You can also sub in Ecotrix, or you can also have Ecotrix, Garlash, Wintrix. I've tried that core before. It's pretty nice. Wintrix Halvantic is admittedly a pretty nice core. But the main thing with Wintrix is that its coverage, most of it is unresisted, but it's not going to be hitting a lot of things super effectively. And that's the main problem with Wintrix, I feel like. And of course, it's an offensive Lumian. It's forced to run Peace of Mind, or else it's not breaking much. And it's forced to be running Peace of Mind in order to break stuff, so it can't run boots like other offensive range attackers and can still hit hard. So that's where I'm going to be putting Wintrix. And yeah, Wintrix is it's pretty solid, but it's not as good as it was before. I'm putting Garlash in B+, just because of Falclash and how pretty good it is in the meta. Because of Falclash existing, Garlash also becomes better. And while it isn't as great as Tatab in its X factor of hitting pretty hard, I've already explained it now, but it still has ways to cripple stuff. Alright, Colossotrops. Okay, I can only rank this from speculation, because I haven't gotten a Colossotrops. Yeah, I have never gotten a Colossotrops. Well, yeah, but no electric type is going to be wanting to swap in on Flash and Fleas all the time. And I guess you mean offensive wise, yes. Yeah, I might move it down, but I'll consider it once I have seen all the other Lumians play out. So that's what I'll do next. Yeah, Colossotrops has no swap-ins. Whether or not you're using Brawn Boost or just 4 moves Baffle or whatever, or you can even use Brawn Boost with Baffle. It's pretty good there. Colossotrops doesn't have a lot of defensive answers, and its defensive typing is kind of good in this metagame. It's not like the best, but it has some swap-ins it can come into, which is always nice to hear for like anything remotely offensive. But it isn't the most fastest thing in the world, which kind of hurts it there. You're forced to run it in like offensive teams, or else it's not going to be getting it in or not really offensive teams, but you're forced to run like supporting pivots like Icicle and Ursnack in order to make Colossotrops work. But outside of that, Colossotrops is pretty great. I'm not going to put it in A- just because it's not as consistent and relies on a lot of team support, but it's pretty great. Oh yeah. Colossotrops outburst. I don't know. I honestly don't know how to feel about that. Yes, it's very great. Yes, it does Oko Obsi, which is really nice. Should we talk about anything? Alright, I'll do a quick round. Eclipse, I don't think it's A plus or S. This is gonna be a really hot take. But me personally, Eclipse, all it has is its ability, and I'm not even like one of those people who meme on it because its ability is garbage or it's carrying it is whatever, but Eclipse doesn't hit hard. Unless you're running V-Smart, and if you're running V-Smart, you're running so much teams, or you're not so much teams, so you're running so much stuff that is going to be outspeeding a V-Smart's Eclipse, so you're kind of locked into Smart Nimble, and this means Eclipse is not going to be hitting hard a lot. Like, Eclipse has no X factor against stuff like Pyrolin, Venolin, Gargdi, and all the other common defensive swap-ins for Eclipse. It still has a pretty weak setup move in Disperse, so it's not going to be dealing a lot of stuff there. And its speed tier is really competitive, like I said. So it's going to be having a lot of trouble. It's going to have a lot of trouble trying to outspeed stuff in its speed tier. And that kind of makes it revenge killable, but not really. But it does have some solid niches. It can still force out Vesp and Obsi still. Vesp getting slash kind of hurts it a bit, but it still deals with Vesp anyway. Hey, Awakened Blue. And hey, Happy Dave. And Segs. Oh my gosh, there's so much people joining. Yeah, welcome to the stream. I'll do Samurai because Panzer mentioned first, then I'll do Umbrat, and then I'll do Deladrix. So yeah, Eclipse, I don't think that X Factor is there anymore. It's still pretty nice to have overall. Alright, Samurai. Samurai, I think it's really solid. It's not A tier solid because it still has the issue of it having like what, base 86 speed? So it's not going to be outspeeding a lot like before like gets a rev up boost. But Samurai overall is pretty nice. It has a lot of great offensive cores like with Zulong and with Ikazune. Mainly the electric type pivots because most of what comes in on these guys beside what Venolin, Samurai can threaten out. And I guess even Samurai can threaten out Venolin, but it gets bartered shackled, so it's not really that great. So it's kind of has its great offensive cores, and actually I don't know, I might move it up to A because like Samurai, whatever, I might move it up to A because like you only have what your snack out of all the OU mons, you only have your snack that can solidly wall this thing. Because after a +1, it's going to be 2-hit KOing Obsi with Steel Crusher because it's not contact. And then you have Bar Blast also getting 2-hit KO'd. I guess you also have Swolder for Samurai too, but it's not OU. I might move it up to A honestly, but just because it's not going to be having that immediate threat once because of its speed tier, I'm going to be putting it in A-. And also it's like really prone to boots because of its speed tier even after a +1 rev. It's going to be like Ikazune, Zulong, Tatab, Steel Crusher's contact. Oh my gosh. That means Kenku was lying. Or he was just dumb. Hey Arthur, welcome to the stream. Awakened Blue, wait, what exactly is Umbrat getting? Alright. Oh, I don't even, okay, wait. I'm just gonna pin this message. Suggest. There we go. Alright, other than that, yeah. Alright, Bar Blast. Wait, no, not Bar Blast, Umbrat. I wish this was UU, because I could be giving this Lumian so much rap. so much rep, I mean, but I don't know. Because it has some niches, yes. Quick Pounce, Overshadow, Stops, Tatab. It can hit Eclipse. Valkyrie hits, Shachi also. Luminami as well, Metatoad too. So it has some niche. I'm not going to be putting it in B-. No way I'm not putting it here. But like, you have so much common answers for it. You have Obsidians. Swolder not really, but Swolder in server v server. It's being used a lot. You have Barblast. You have Your Snack. You have Icicle. There is just so much stuff that will get that will hit Umbrat. Chili Chomp? I mean, Chili Chomp doesn't sound that great, honestly. Because, like, all the stuff that I said, it's still walling, like, Umbrat besides Swolder. So, yeah, it's not that great. Hold on, wait, let me do a... Nah, that calc's kind of useless. So, I think a B. B is where I'll be putting it. Alright, let me see the chat. I can't see... Alright. So, it was Umbrat, and then what? Umbrat, then Deldrix, then Blowtox. Alright, I'm just gonna be putting Blowtox here before I... There we go. I'm so sorry, Blowtox fans. Alright, so after Barblast... Not Barblast. After Deldrix, we have... Arapago, Whippledrift, Phage we already ranked, and then we have Barbadger. No, Odasho, then Barbadger. Or Deldrix. Deldrix is only... You can only play Deldrix if you're like the top 20 PvPers who can predict really well. And that's it. That's it. Deldrix, you have to be really smart to play this Lumian. You have to be like 1200 elo in chess. No, I'm kidding. You have to be a grandmaster in chess to play Deldrix. But yeah, offensive wise, on paper it's very good. No solid defense. The defensive answers that solidly stop this, like Vanillin, and the only Vanillin in OU. It still gets zip zapped, which is free momentum. So yeah, Ja, you have good predictions. You should use Deldrix for your server v server for real. Anyways, it was Deldrix, then Pygo. Arapago, I don't know where to rank this, honestly. Cause like Arapago, here we go. Well, it's no, it's in B-. It has quick recovery, but like defensive, oh yeah, it does. Alright. If Arapago gets a pivot move, does it even have a pivot move? If Arapago gets like C-Song or Zip Zap, I'd consider Arapago to be really great. But Arapago doesn't accomplish much except soak a status, and that's it. Defensive Arapago is not that great. And offensive is even worse. You have like somewhat good offensive... you have good coverage basically, but like... yeah. There's just not a lot of things to like about Arapago. You're probably a top 30 Panzer, but I'm a top 40. Probably, I don't know. I don't care anyway. I just want a PvP for fun. Alright, Whippledrift. Whippledrift is also pretty solid. Not B- solid, but it is pretty viable. If I can find it, that would be nice. Whippledrift. Alright, before I actually say some stuff on Whippledrift, I need to like... calc some things. Whippledrift, how well are you doing against Vanillin? Are you free setup? No, I'm not even gonna count. Nope. No, you're not. Pyrolin. Oh, gosh, you are not free setup. What else? Guard D. Obviously Guard D, but you have... No. Eliguana? No, no. Actually, I guess you can, but Taze. Chartiki? Okay. Alright, I guess that just like... Deldrix is still cracked, yeah. Can we even rank Ventation? Hold on, I'll get to that after in a bit. But Ventation is definitely rankable. Whippledrift. Alright, I thought Whippledrift could abuse its answers, but it really doesn't. And that hurts its viability for me at the very least. And I wish Deldrix got rev up, because I don't like it having to be relied on Glide to actually do stuff. Yeah, it does have Jetstream, but like I was trying to calc if it can set up on stuff, like set up on its defensive answers. But yeah, it's not that. It is somewhat great offensively, but like like any ranged attacker, any ranged wall will be able to stop Deldrix, or not Deldrix. Not any ranged wall, but you know what I mean. It will be able to stop Whippledrift in this metagame. So it's not that great. It's alright though. Actually, no, I'll put it B+. I think it's better than the B Lumians. Right, what else do I have to rank? I have to rank like Deldrix, Samarine. No. Whippledrift, Phage Knot, I already ranked. And then I do Barbadger. Alright, Barbadger sounds good. Barbadger is also pretty solid. It's on the verge of putting I'm on the verge of putting it in A-. But actually it does have Dauntless too. It has a really bad defensive typing, but it has really good it has Dauntless, so like even if you have something to revenge kill it, it might live a hit and then it can hit it back even more. Martial Shell +2 Barbadger also breaks Obsidian. So do with that what you will. Barblast, Clay Slap, it also breaks Barblast. It doesn't break Icicle or Your Snack, which is kind of depressing. So it has answers. It has pretty good answers, but let me search up Barbadger's speed tier. It's not Barbadger's speed tier isn't that great either. So you're not going to be outspeeding a lot, and you're prone to be revenge killed. And when you have like a worse defensive type than Valkyrie, you know you're pretty weird. You're pretty bad in that regard. Yeah, the bad defensive typing does make it more consistent, but it's being prone to revenge killed. And like if you're comparing like something that's also being prone to revenge kill as well, like Valkyrie and Barbadger. Valkyrie has more defensive utility than Barbadger, and that's what I'm gonna put it down here for. That's of course Halvantic is also Halvantic. It's just better than Barbadger. That's nice. Yeah, that's nice, Panzer. Alright. How are you guys struggling with Boots Valkyrie? I might try it. Alright, and then Ventation. Ventation has one niche, and that's getting rid of hazards when it swaps in, excluding Regift Fiskarna. And that is like the sole reason I'm putting it out of unviable. That's just the sole reason. And yeah, I don't think I need to talk about it much more. It doesn't even, Geyser is still pretty great. It's like the only thing other than Burn Up that's keeping it relevant, or somewhat relevant. But I don't know. I need to test out with Ventation more, but to me at least, this metagame is a lot more harmful to it because of all the electric types and all the stuff that can like cripple it. It also does have Slumber though, so I do have to give it that. But once it loses Mysterious Dust, it's pretty much over, because like Anything can just set up on it on Ventation. Alright. And I guess Borak is next. Yeah, Plushy Whipple kinda cool, actually. Borak is also another example of a pretty solid Lumian. It's kind of like Joltooth in where it can bulk up. Its bulk isn't the best, but it's definitely usable. But the difference between Joltooth and Borak is that it's more consistent in breaking its answers like Obsy and Bar Blast, because Obsy, it can't get resilience off of Earthquake. It also stops Bar Blast. Like if it gets +2 on this, if it bulks up and Bar Blast is the one coming in, it's gonna be getting broken. But you have robust Your Snack and robust Dice to go for it. So like it has its somewhat answers in OU, but it's pretty solid. It beats the two most common defensive like melee walls, so that's nice. Alright. Tyrex, Tsukame, then Garge. Alright. Tyrex is also, as much as people would like to say it's fallen off, oh yeah, it does break Luminami too. As much as people would like to say Tyrex has fallen off, I really don't think so. It still has niches in this metagame. It doesn't wall Zulong anymore, so you can't create hyper offense. But you can still check non-pyrokinesis Shachi, non-mega punch Metatoad. Well, Terrifying still does a number to it, but whatever. You can still check Ticlips. You can stop Halvantic, which is honestly really good, because like Primal Slash exists, and not much would want to like have Halvantic. Not much can say that they can somewhat wall Halvantic other than like Garbantis, which I'll probably talk about later. But Tyrex, it's pretty solid. Not as great as before, but it's pretty good defensive wise. And of course, I would like to show you guys an interesting calc. I'll let you see I'll let you decide what you want to do with it. But we have something very interesting. Let's just assume you're V-Robust, because everyone and their dad runs V-Robust. Then you have +1, you power focus on a swap, and you have complete demolition. Wait a minute. What? Oh, and you have a metal essence. Metal essence. I'll let you guys decide what to do with this information. And alright, Tsukame is next. Tsukame, I might just have to put it in the unviable tier. Like, with its competition, there's just not a lot of things Tsukame has over stuff. Once it gets Seasong, however, I think it's going to be pretty viable, mainly because it can just apply offensive pressure and be a melee wall. And other than Luminami, there's not much you can say that right now, so that's pretty great for it. And Garge, I've seen some opinions on Garge where people have as high as Garge in the S tier, but as low as A- on the tier list. And I'm in the middle because I haven't really used Garg A in a while, mainly because someone else has it. But Garg A, I think it's still pretty solid. Like, it isn't as broken as it was before. Garg D is an answer for it now. And I think that's pretty much it, actually. You have, never mind. Slapdown just still does a number to this. You don't want to take hits from this. Not even Himber does well. Never mind, I might move it up. I actually might move it up. I might move it up, actually. Yeah. Now that I'm looking at it, Garge still does a lot. Yeah, not a lot of things can wall Garge. And that's really great. Right, Nevermare? Sure. Nevermare, I feel like... The thing is, the Nevermare is OU, so I know it's good to some extent, but in my opinion, I don't like it. And in my opinion, Nevermare isn't going like Nevermare has some niches. I'll start off with the positives. Being being able to be immune to Brawler is admittedly pretty great. You can somewhat stop Tatab, your soul. You can check these guys pretty nice. You can also stop Driving Force from a Garg D, so you can shut this very common Lumian down very well. And also, I'm pretty sure it also takes advantage of Luminami. I'll check a Mega Chomp from Luminami, and I'll let you guys see it in a bit. Yeah, Mega Chomp. No, Chili Chomp is what they might run, so... Strat can also wall Garge, yeah. Chili Chomp, it does a lot. It can also somewhat stop, Nevermare can also somewhat stop Luminami. And no Luminami is going to be clicking this a lot. And yeah, that's what I actually wanted to say. My point as it's great in it's great in paper, but overall, because of how inconsistent its 100 base melee 113 base melee attack is without crits, it's not gonna be hitting hard a lot. Especially when you're gonna be running nimble a lot to outspeed like a lot of stuff as much as possible. And overall, Tatab is just a better offensive plant type, but if you're looking for something with defensive niches, Nevermare is admittedly the one you probably should go for. Like, it fits better on semi-stall teams and more bulky teams than a Tatab, I have to say that. And Strat, actually no one has said anything they want to be ranked, so I'll just go off. Setamars is the thing. In my opinion, Setamars is worse than Gargolem defense. Yes, it's also Hasty is also pretty good. It's like a more offensive Garg D, but the thing is, its offensive prowess is kind of undervalued right now because a lot of stuff can still swap in on it. I mean, you still have the common air types. Stuff like Shachi, Metatoad, Valkyrie, they can all break this now, which is somewhat concerning too. So, Setamars is just not that great right now. I would be putting it high if Garg D if I would be putting it like B+ here. Yeah, that's what sucks for Seti. So I feel like if this were to be buffed with something, I feel like it would need to be more offensive. So it can be somewhat more different than Garg D. Like, give this Fury Fondant or something. Give it bulk up. Hey, ZQ, CHQRV. Welcome to the stream. Well, this is assumed talent trade is banned. Like, this is a regular OU list. So talent trade, I'm gonna assume it's banned. And Garg D is probably the best utility mon if you're looking for one. Yeah, Garg D. Obsidian is okay. Obsidian can get stopped somewhat easily. You have Luminami, you have Charonix, you have, well, that's about it actually. You have Teclipse also. You also have Strat somewhat being able to check this thing. But I think it's... okay, I'm gonna be putting it in A, but like... actually, I either put both of these guys in A or I put Obsi in A-. I'll put both of these because these guys are most of what's gonna be most teams like melee wall, and these guys are pretty consistent in what they wall. Sure, they get broken by stuff like Barbadger and Borak, but overall, like, these guys can still wall a bunch of the melee attackers. Like, I'll just provide examples. Like, these guys, not much can say they can stop Your Soul and Vesperatu. they can all not they can't stop Samurai. They can also stop Nevermare too. They can stop Garlash, stop Totab. And because of how easy and accessible these guys are, and because of how like offensively pressuring they can be, Barblast with Power Focus, Obsidian with Drudge, these guys are just pretty solid overall. Imperior, I'm pretty tempted to just make a resentful tier for Imperior, because that's just basically what it is and what it will only be. But because I don't know, Imperior is admittedly really good though for like resentful and stuff. I won't put it in the A tiers though. But actually no, I guess it's a definition of an A tier because it does do its job consistently. So I don't, yeah, Imperior is kind of cooking. I might just put it in the B plus because I'm just anti-sweep. Yeah, it is an anti-sweep Lumian. Wobblisk? Okay, why not? I haven't actually seen a lot of Wobblisks. It's kind of weird because like I've always had this positive perception of it, but now that like, yeah, I don't really know because Wobblisk is still pretty good. It still has like still like an anti-sweeper kind of Lumian with ignorance. Let's just bring it up where if I can find it. Yeah. It stops Ferroglyph, and like not a lot of stuff can stop Ferroglyph when it starts setting up. It also stops Nevermare. It can stop Whippledrift. Nope, it can't stop Charonix. Actually, it can actually somewhat. Nah. Charonix are just spites. But I'll be putting it in A minus. It's actually the thing with Wobblisk here is that there's a lot of stuff that can hit it super effectively. Like defensive ice isn't a pretty good typing overall in like my opinion. Wobblisk might rise honestly. Wobblisk in server v server, that sucks. So I think I'll actually put it in B plus. It still has some niches like Venolin and Malmberg, but as of right now, there's just a lot of stuff that can expose its defenses, and because it doesn't have recovery like the common Pyrolin and Stratosaur, it's not going to be able to live a lot. And that's just what sucks for it. Yeah. Because you're going to be swapping in on hazards, traps, barbs, poison barbs, whatever. You're going to be taking a lot of chip. Especially when you're forced to stop, like, unless you're like a semi-stall with Wobblisk, which is kind of throwing, but unless you're like unless you're those type of teams, Wobblisk as one of your defensive backbones is never a good idea because of no recovery it has. Offense in Namare. Namare overall, I think is actually pretty good because Namare stops one of the more common defensive stuff. It stops a pretty common core with Pyrolin and Obsidian. You can also lock down Gargolem defense, even if Gargdi has driving force. It can it can also lock down Venolin. And that's honestly really good because Namare stops a lot of offensive, or no, not offensive, but defensive threats. So in a sense, it's like an anti-meta Lumian, except an anti-meta Lumian was good. So it's really great. And even if you're not running it offensively, you have defensive, which is probably just as good. Because in my opinion, it does what Celesting wants to do with Incandescent Flash and Flee, but but better basically. Has quick recovery. Flash and Fleas actually are threatening, unlike Celesting. And it has a more favorable defensive typing when it can be able to absorb Earth strong hits, just like Borak, Gargdi. It also walls Gargdi if it's like if you're like a robust Namare, it walls Gargdi, so that's really good. Tamp Odasho. True. But yeah, it's really solid in this metagame. I don't think there's a lot of Lumians that I would say that I don't think there's a lot of anti-meta Lumians I would say that would be better than the Mare. It's just that great. Who? Hey Dublo, welcome to the stream. Oh wait, let me give you mod actually. Which one's better, managing or standard? Whatever, you'll just have one of them. Yes. All right. You guys want Garbantis? I'll put Garbantis. Garbantis is actually really good. I've used it on a lot of offensive teams, and I think if you're running like an offensive team, Garbantis, or let me find it. It's kind of a staple now, cause Garbantis, it stops quite a bit of offensive threats. It's not a lot, but it stops some offensive threats. The main things I want to talk about is Halvantic. Halvantic against offense is a nightmare if you don't have Garbantis or like what Garg D. It also does hit pretty hard overall, so and also it does have that increasing melee defense and it becoming better in defense and attack power. It also does have poison, so it can also cripple its answers like Obsidian and Barblast, and not Barblast, but Obsidian and Harvesect. It also does have Provoke, and so it can set up on walls. So Garbantis is also good in that regard. And Garbantis, oh yeah, Garbantis is like really good. Also, it does have Zip Zap immunity. So, Garbantis is just really great. The only problem is the amount of air types right now that can just lock it down. It's kind of like another Lumian that I'll talk about in a bit, that it gets locked down by the same stuff, but it's less offensive. And let's actually talk about that Lumian now, because I don't think anyone has suggested anything yet. Let's see. We have Swolder. Swolder is who I'm looking for. Swolder, Swolder admittedly has a lot of great stuff. Like, it has a lot of great defensive niches. You have Declips. It can stop Declips. If you're Brawn Boost, you can stop Barblast and Obsidian. Assuming Obsidian is not running Burrow, and Burrow is pretty mid right now. You can also stop Garbantis. You can stop Tatab. You can stop Garlash. You can stop Vesperatu and Ursul. And Samurai. Oh, Ursnack, my bad. But, so like, it has a lot of stuff that it can stop in the OU metagame. But the thing is, Swolder gets stopped by a lot of things in the OU metagame. Like, Garg D shuts it down. Wintrix, Strat, Himber, Namare, Barbadger, and I guess Ferroglyph, Shachi, Metatoad, they all can come in on Swolder and just like destroy it infinitely. There's just that's my main issue of putting it up in B+. The main difference with Garbantis and Swolder is that Garbantis has a speed tier, so it can potentially be an offensive threat late game, and it hits hard turn 1 rather than Swolder. So that's my main gripe with Swolders. I use it, it's pretty nice, but other than that, I wouldn't be suggesting using this thing. And I'll talk about Ursnack now. Ursnack is really solid. If I can find it, that would be nice. Ursnack is pretty solid. The thing... Alright, yeah, I'm going to be putting in A- and Icicle in B+. In my opinion, actually no. I'll just put them both in A-. They're both pretty good. Oh, asking about Odasho. Okay, after these two, I'll talk about Odasho. Then I'll talk about Gardrone too. Yeah, Garbantis is pretty good. I like it. I like it as well. It's pretty good on offense, and I'm an offensive player, so alright. Alright, after Garbantus, not Garbantus, after your snack in high school, your snack, Odasha, then Tonchulin. These guys, admittedly, they're not as great as the common melee defense staples on teams, but these favor offensive teams pretty well, and they do wall stuff that these guys can't. For example, they can stop Garbantus, they can also stop, I'm not going to say Soldier, because Soldier can, well, not really, these two can cripple these guys, so I won't say that. They can stop Barbadger. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Never mind. I won't put him in A minus. They stop Barbadger. They generally stop the same things that these guys can, but because they're both spirit types, like, you can't use these guys against stuff like Halvantic and Joltooth. And that means that these guys, they only have the only niche they have is utility with slapdown for your snack, icicle traps for icicle, and both of them baffle, and they favor offensive teams. That's about it. But in reality, offensive teams aren't that great right now, so these two aren't really the best. One thing I do have to say about icicle though, I'll probably put it here in like your snack here. Yeah, icicle does stop no, not Stab. Icicle does stop Deldrix, and now that you mention it, Zik or whatever, Gargolem. It also does stop Gargolem attack, which is also pretty good. Yeah, and your snack stops Samurai too. I'll just put Icicle in A minus. Like why did I forget that? I have said Samurai gets stopped by your snack, but whatever. But I'll put Icicle here, mainly because, like, it has recovery, it has Icicle traps, and in my opinion, that's much better than just pure slapdown. And recovery, too. Alright, Gargolem on every team, if only that was competitive viable, because apparently, different forms of Gargolem still count as the same Gargolem. Alright, Odasho's next. And I'll lump in Spreezy with this too. Spreezy, in my opinion, is like a worse Odasho in every single way besides speed. Odasho has what Spreezy has besides Gust and the speed tier. And Odasho has better bulk, it can stall out things a lot better, and it's clingy, so it can hold on to its item. And recovery isn't a bad like a bad thing on this always, because you have Sap Plant. So like Spreezy, I guess you have Hard Candy, so it does have like that defensive X factor to it, but in my opinion Odasho is like better than Spreezy. I hate ranking these prevos. I hate children, bro. Alright, next up, Guard Drone and 2v2s. Jumpstart is definitely a pretty good strategy, but you might as well be running Guard Drone Jumpstart with, what is this? Captivate Charonix Prevo, because that's just too broken. It's basically bait as an ability, and that's just too broken in doubles. Hopefully Jamie does something about that soon. What the? Why did chat disconnected? Oh, okay. Banfino versus Spreezy? Alright, sure. Yeah, I'll do that after Tundril, Guard Drone and Tundrillin. Guard Drone, I also don't think it's good. Guard Drone has a really bad speed tier, and its metal type is not really of course, it's somewhat good, because you can stop Spec Me, or kinda. But you are weak to a lot of common electric types, Ikazune, Metatoad, anything that's electric type can basically take advantage of you. Earth types, Gargdi, Tyrex, Himber. It's just not a lot of great, and you do have Stunner Chomp here too. And until like you get, and like Accelerate, Clutch Plushie, or accelerate clutch racial plushie is admittedly pretty cool, but it's not going to be getting that off all the time, so. Oh, chat's back? Yeah. Yeah, that's how low its speed tier is. It speed ties Vandalin. That just sucks for an offensive Lumian. But what's next? Tundrelin. Tundrelin, I kind of feel dirty putting it right next to Swolder, but there's not a lot in... Okay. There's not a lot of niches Tundrelin has over Obsi. The reason why I'm not putting it in unviable is because it favors stall teams, and stall teams, they're not as great as before, but they're still pretty good playstyle. It can also stop Halvantic a lot better than Obsidian. Actually, can it? Let me calc this, because I'm pretty sure it does nothing to Halvantic. So I'm pretty sure it does nothing to Halvantic. Let's just say Tundrelin. Yeah, you actually win it. You actually win the setup war actually, so you actually win that. Wendelin's S tier, so true. Hi Zonori. Welcome to the stream. Oh my, I'm like dying right now. Let me just put on this. Let me just put on a new playlist, because I cannot. Yeah, I don't know. And then we have, alright, Siaja. Sure, I will. Next up, we have who do we have next? Oi. Oh, we have Snaggulp. Okay, I'll rank Snaggulp as well tier. I hate Snaggulp. Actually, Snaggulp is good. Snaggulp is good. Like, it's so passive. It's like a worse Gargdi, but it has poison. It has gust. New Kendrick Lamar beat. I can't wait to hear this off of his To Pimp a Butterfly 2. The volume 2 To Pimp a Butterfly. But like this pre-evolution has some niches. It's like a worse Gargdi in a regard, but it has perch. It can't get rid of its drop of youth user, so like, oh my god, it also, while similar stuff to this, the only thing it can't wall are electric types like Zulong, Metatoad. Yeah, it's all right. It's actually viable in this metagame. The sequel, yeah. All right, Wendelin I'll rank, and then Harvesect. Oh wait, Snagoop as well. Snagoop is also in the B tier. It's actually funny. I might actually rank this below its Prevo. Just slightly though. You know what? Why not? No, actually, I'll just put it in the B tier. Snagoop admittedly does have... Well, no. Snagoop, on paper, it does pretty well in this metagame. It has poison barbs, so it can threaten... Like, it can... If you're an offensive team, you're gonna love Snagoop here. It also has Gust, so you can remove hazards and increase your speed. So that's also another plus about it. What's also kind of tragic though is... And he also does have pretty good damage overall. And also... Oh no. I just found out I have to eat. Are you kidding me? Well, okay, let me just try and speed run everything now. Snagoop B. It's the only problem I have with this is that it gets checked. Well, it gets stopped by a bunch of the ranged walls in this metagame. And for offensive air types and toxic types, there's just a bunch of better options for Snagoop as a whole. So there's not really a bunch of things to say about Snagoop here. And alright. Florant, I'll put in unviable here. Sinogre, I'll put it in B minus. Just actually no, I'll put it in B minus. Yeah, because it's also pretty bad, but it does have spite, which other than Charonix is the only Lumian that has it. Lumala is also in the same situation where it only has one niche and it does like huge damage for one turn, but that damage is coming off from a typeless type move that so much in this metagame can resist. Hunter is also pretty nice. I won't put it B plus because obviously a lot of things like Ursnack, Obsidian, Bar Blast, Tyrex to an extent, a lot of melee walls still be able to stop Hunter, but Hunter, it has some pretty good cores. It's pretty good with Charonix. It does pretty well with Tatab. It has good cores there. Gabademic and Gargolem speed, I'll put him here because actually I'll just, yeah, I also have to go Panzer. Death of Hyper Offense, and I'll just put both of these guys here because Zulong killed Hyper Offense and there's just so much hazard removal that these guys can't just do a lot. I forget Terraclaw. Terraclaw is also pretty niche. It does have somewhat good matchups, like it does pretty well against Meditoad and Shachi under the right circumstances, but it does do pretty well in that regard, but it gets taken advantage by a lot of things. Billaforge also, it's kind of on the same boat as Colossotrops, except it doesn't have setup. It doesn't have a lot good enough great coverage to make up for its bad speed here, and yeah, and it doesn't have setup either, so like it can't do much. Festifer, Ragoon. Oh yeah, I can't even finish this. Yeah, I have to go like right now. I might continue this later if it's worth it, but I'll just quickly like, yeah, because like I generally know the layout of the tier list already, so I'll just quickly do that. You can take your screenshots. Actually, yeah, I'll just put that there. We have Chartiki. It's also pretty niche in this metagame, but it does have pretty good niches. Buzzlin is admittedly unviable. Kanibo is also pretty nice. Viscarna does have some good hazard remover. It's pretty good, but compared to the other defensive water types, it's just not that great. Protogon is on the same boat as the other offensive types. It simply can't get enough consistent damage when most things are going to be prepared for its analyze ability. Cosmere Encased is pretty good, but it's not as great as it was before because Stall isn't that great still. Surebot, it's alright. Hollymunch I do think is also pretty great because of its defensive typing. And it's, of course, it does hit really hard, I have to admit that as well. Sea Drake, it has anomaly, so it's not completely dead in the water in terms of like what it can actually deal with. Baneki, B minus. No, actually I'll put Baneki in B because of its defensive. Yes! This always happens, man. This always happens. Yeah, this will be a VOD. A VOD. Okay. Alright, I'll explain. I'll probably do like a next stream explaining all of these rankings. Okay.